Hello again. Welcome to the second week of PowerPoint called PowerPoint Enhance Presentations with Graphics. So this week we're going to be covering inserting slides from other presentations, more stuff with pictures. We're going to look at shapes, so how you add shapes, put pictures inside of shapes. We're going to look at smart art graphics, and we're going to do a little bit of work with videos. Okay, so you should be going to Fanshawe Online. Now, this week you're going to start with the blank PowerPoint presentation. You are going to, from Fanshawe Online, however, you're going to download the file PPT-03 Enrichment Samway. You don't need to open it because we're going to be copying files out of it. You're going to download the picture PPT-03 Enrichment Productivity, and you're going to download the movie PPT-03 Enrichment Video. Okay, so once you're ready to go, just bring up PowerPoint and we will get started. Alright, so the very first thing we're going to look at are the design options within PowerPoint, so themes. When you click on design, you're going to see across the top a number of different themes. Well, when you start PowerPoint originally, you're going to have what's called the Office theme, but you can choose a number of different themes. Now, themes are a concept that are available in all of the Microsoft Office tools, so Excel, Word, PowerPoint, Publisher, etc. What a theme is a combination of pre-built colors, fonts, and special effects. And in PowerPoint, it also includes the background color, the background graphic, placement of placeholders, the number of layouts that you have available, and so on. So different themes will have different combinations of all of those. So what I want you to do is click on Design tab. Click on the drop down beside the themes to bring up all of the different themes. As you hover along, as you move along each one, you can see how it changes your screen to have the different effects. If you look at the graphic itself, you can see a little bar of colors underneath the letter AA. Those are the color schemes that are in play for this particular theme. I'm going to come back to that in a second. So you're going to be looking for the integral theme, which for me is the fourth one in. It may be different from you. When I click on that theme, you can see that my slide now shows that blue and white background. When you have a theme, you also have variants. So variants are just a way to fine-tune the theme. Let's say you don't particularly like that background. I can go with a green background, different color sets, a solid blue, and so on. Now the theme, because the theme's the same, you're going to see that all of the placeholders are in the same place, but you may have different colors or fonts. So if I look at colors here, so as I highlight over the top of the word colors, you can see all the different color schemes that are available. So there's 8 colors there, each theme color. So these are basic colors, so I can override the theme colors with these. Fonts. If I look at the fonts, you can see that what you'll have are 2 different fonts. Now ignore the custom ones at the top. Well, I've got lots of built ones here, but if I go down further, so here you've got the Office theme. Now what that means is the 2 different fonts that are showing there, the first font is for headings and the second font is for body. And I'm going to come back to that in a second. And effects, you have different effects, so it's just how the effects show up, and then your different background styles. Okay, so we're going to go with just the integral theme with the default variant. I want you to click in the title. We're going to add a title. We're going to call it Employee Enrichment Program. Now you'll notice that even though I am typing in upper and lower case, it's only showing in uppercase. That's because this particular theme has the titles with the all caps feature turned on. So no matter if you type upper or lower, excuse me, no matter when you type upper or lower case, it's all going to show in uppercase. I still suggest that when you're typing in your information, you type it in proper upper lower case, because if you were to change the theme and it didn't have the all caps turned on, then you would have different formats. And in the subtitle, you're going to type Aspen Falls City Hall. Okay, now I want you to click on the Home tab, and I want you to look at this box here in the font group called Font Color. So it's the letter A with the red line underneath it. When I click on that, what I want to look at here is if you look at the top, you've got what are called theme colors. So when you created that theme, it came with a pre-built set of colors. There were 8 colors, but you'll notice the first 2, the white and the black, those are default. They're the same on every theme. So the theme colors run across the top. So if you pick a particular theme color, then if you change the theme, the color on the new theme will change to whatever happens to be in that position in your theme colors. So in this particular case, the 5th one in is turquoise. If I was to change the theme to a different color set, I'll change it and then I'll come back. Now when I look in the 5th position, it's actually a burnt, a dark red. Okay, so the themes have been created by experts in color that make sure that you have complementary and conflicting colors and all that sort of stuff. The point here is that if you create it, hold on. If you select a certain theme, that theme will be common across Excel, Word, PowerPoint. So if you're building something, let's say you're building a flyer, and in there you're going to put a PowerPoint slide, and you're going to put a Word document, or you're going to type in some words, and you're going to put a chart from Excel in. You want to have a consistent theme amongst the 3 of them so that all the colors in that match and it just looks more professional. Okay, I'm going to go back and change that back to the integral theme. So those are themes. Below the themes, you can see that there are different color sets. So if you look across the top, those are your theme colors, and all of these colors below are variations on the theme. So as an example, this is turquoise accent 1. If I look down below it, I'm going to see that now that's turquoise accent 1, lighter 80%, lighter 60%, lighter 40%, darker 25%, and darker 50%. So the theme colors, the variations below them are simply different saturations of the color. Okay, so turquoise or blue accent 2, darker 25% or lighter 80%, and so on. Now you'll notice standard colors across the bottom. The standard colors would override. So if I change something to a standard color and I change the theme, it would stay with the standard color. Again, if I look at the fonts, and I'm going to click on the font box here, at the very top of the fonts you can see that you have your theme fonts. So in this particular case, the capitals are being in TW Sen, whatever that is, MT condensed, and the body font is a different one. So if I change the theme, all my headings and all my body fonts would change to match the theme. If I pick another font from the all fonts below that, then that font would stay regardless of the theme that I choose. Okay. Alright, so we're going to move back to skill number 1. We're going to create, so in our title slide, we've already created employee enrichment in that. We're going to create a new slide. So remember, to add a new slide, I can either click on the new slide button, and it would create another slide the same type as the slide I'm in, unless it's a title slide. If it's a title slide, then I click on the new slide button, it'll create a title and content slide. If I want to pick the type of slide that I want, so in this case I want to content, I'm going to go down to the arrow below the new slide so that it brings up the dialog or the layouts, and here I can click on to content to create a new slide with a title and 2 content boxes. In the left content box, or in the title, I'm going to type Enrichment Program Kickoff Events. And in the left side, so again, we talked before about the content box itself. In the content box, I can just click, in which case it will allow me to add bullet points, or I can use one of the graphics to add a table, to add a chart, to add a smart art graphic, to add a picture, so a picture that's on your computer, to add an online picture, in other words, to go out to search for a picture. By the way, if you have a Mac, you will not have the online pictures option. If you want a picture from the internet, you're actually going to have to go to Google or Safari, search for the picture, copy and paste it, and insert a video to add a video. Now, in this particular case, we want to add some text, so I'm going to click, and I'm going going to start typing Wellness, Lunch, and Learn. So remember, when you're starting to type, you're going to be creating bullet points. So this bullet point is currently a level 1 bullet, so a title bullet. If I hit enter, it'll create another level 1 bullet. If I want to create a sub bullet, I'm going to hit tab, and then I'm going to type Health and Wellness Presenter. And again, when I hit enter on a bullet point, it'll create another bullet at the same level. So this will create another level 2 bullet. I'm going to type lunch by tool in. I'm going to hit enter, but now I want to have another level 1 bullet, so I'm going to do a shift tab to go back to level 1. I'm going to type de-stress for less seminar, enter, tab, products and demos from merchants at Seaview Mall. Now again, we're just doing this for demonstration, so if you don't want to type everything that I'm typing here, you could just type like this is a title and this is a level 2 bullet or whatever, just to have something in there. Now what this is showing you here is that when you're inside a placeholder, word wrap is automatically turned on. So when I hit the edge of the border with that line that says products and demos for merchants at Seaview Mall, it automatically wrapped to the next level or to the next line for the words that didn't fit inside the box. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to create, type in aromatherapy classes. Okay, I've got a typo here, so I'll fix that. Okay. So I'm going to go back to slide number 1. So now what I want to do is I want to add 2 slides from that other presentation that you downloaded at the start called PPT-03 Enrichment Samway. And there's a couple of ways to do this. What I could do is I could open that presentation, and then I could put it in slide sorter view, or I could click on the slide pane on the left, by and large, but it doesn't matter how you do it. But then I could do a copy. So right click copy, or click copy on the home tab, or Control C, and then I could move to this presentation and I could click paste, and then it would copy the slide over. Okay, we're going to do it a slightly different way. We're going to use an option called reuse slides, but it doesn't matter which way you do it, as long as either way will work. On a Mac, there is no reuse slides option, so you have to do copy and paste. So in this case, I'm on slide number 1, so any slides that I insert will go below my current slide, so they'll push slide 2 out of the way and make room for the new slides to go into that location. So I'm going to click New Slides, and I'm going to go down to the bottom. I'm going to click on Reuse Slides. This will bring up the Reuse Slides pane on the far right here. So here I'm going to browse to find my other file. Now yours will probably be in downloads. Mine is actually on a USB stick, so I'm going to click on that. Okay, and then I'm going to click and open the file. So what this will do is it will show me thumbnails of the slide presentation from the other slide. Now I have a couple of ways that I can bring slides in. So I could simply click on a slide, and it will bring that slide into the presentation as we had it there. If I wanted more than one slide, I could hold the shift button down and select slides, or I could right click and I could say insert all slides if I wanted them all. In this case, I just want this number here. Alright, so now what I should have is I should have 4 new slides showing in my slide pane on the left. And now one thing I want to mention here, if you take a look at the slides in the reuse slides pane, those have the Ion theme applied to them. However, when I carried them across, it automatically changed them from the Ion theme to match the destination theme, which is integral. If I don't want to do that, if I want to keep the theme from the original slides, you can see at the very bottom there's an option here called Keep Source Formatting, in which case it would leave it as an Ion theme as it brought it across. If you use a copy and paste to do this instead, when you copy and paste, it will automatically change them to the destination theme, but you will see a little box that shows up there called Autocorrect Options. You can click on that box, and there'll be an option within that box to say Keep Source Formatting, in which case then it would revert back to the theme of the source presentation. So I'm done now. I'm going to close the reuse slide pane. If I don't close the pane, it's not going to affect anything, but it's nice to be able to have as much of the slides visible on the screen as I can. So usually when I'm done with a pane, I'm going to close it just to get it out of the way. I can always bring it back up again by going back to New Slide, Reuse. Okay? Alright, so that's basically skill number 1 from the textbook. So at this point in time, you should have 4 slides. So the title slide that you created, the slide which is in number 4 that shows you the information that you typed in, and the 2 slides that we imported from the other presentation. Okay, so we're going to move on to skill number 2, which is called Insert Size and Move Online Pictures. So we're going to click on slide number 4. So I want to put a picture into my into my content box on the right. So there's basically 2 primary ways to do pictures within PowerPoint. Well, there's a third way. You can copy and paste. You could just copy a picture and paste it into PowerPoint. That'll work as well. In our case, we're going to use the tools that come with the PowerPoint. So notice in the content box, I have an option here called Insert Online Pictures. I'm going to click on that. That will allow me to go out to the internet and search for graphics that match what I want here. So you can see you have a number of different options here that show you things. But instead, I'm going to click up here and I'm going to type Teamwork Success. I'm going to hit enter, and it will go out and it will pull up some pictures. Now the thing here I want to bring your attention to, see the little tick box there that says Creative Commons Only. That's to manage copyright. So Creative Commons are images that people have posted to the internet that they have said we don't want to enforce our copyright laws on this picture. In other words, anybody can use them without having to worry about a copyright infringement. If I turn that checkbox off, I'll get many more pictures, but some of those pictures may well be copywritten, in which case you would have a problem, or you could possibly have a problem if somebody takes it to the next level. So we're just only going to pick one of these pictures, and I'm going to click Insert. When I do that, it automatically takes that picture and it fills it inside the box. Now you can see that I have sizing handles around the outside of the picture. I have a rotate, that little round circle at the top is to rotate a picture. And the sizing handles are to change the size of the picture. So when you insert a picture into a placeholder, it will automatically fit that picture into the placeholder. We're going to show you the other way in a second. When I'm in that picture, you'll notice that I now have a new tab called Picture Tools with all of the different options that are available for that particular picture. I also have a tool called Drawing Tools, which allow me to add things, add boxes and shapes and what have you, and we're going to do that in a minute as well. Go to slide number 2. Now we're going to insert a picture, but you'll notice that there is no placeholder here on the slide to do that. So we're going to go to the Insert command, and we're going to go to Online Pictures. You're going to get the same dialog box that showed up before. I want you to type in Handshake. And I'm going to select this one here. I've tried different ones. This one seems to be the best, but you can pick any picture, it doesn't matter. And I'm going to click Insert. Now when I don't have a placeholder to put that picture, it simply puts it in the middle of the screen. Now I can grab that picture, so when I click on it, my sizing handles show up, so now I can go to my picture tools, so you can see there's the height and shape on the far right and correction and all that. I can grab, click and drag that picture, so I'm going to drag it so that it matches, so it's flush with my right margin. And I'm going to grab the center top sizing handle, and I'm going to drag that picture so that it reaches the top of the screen, and the center top to drag that picture so that it reaches the bottom of the screen. So notice that when you select the middle sizing handles, it simply changes the height or the width in that one dimension. It leaves the other dimension alone. On the other hand, if you use the corner sizing handles, it will change both the height and the width to make sure that the picture stays proportionally correct. So in this case, we don't care if it's a little bit skewed, but basically that's what you have when you use the sizing handles to change the picture. Alright, so that was skill number 2. We're moving on to skill number 3. Modify picture shapes, borders, and effects. Go to slide number 3. Now in this slide we want to insert the picture that we downloaded at the start from Fanshawe Online. So we're going to click on Insert Picture. And it will take you to your folder. So I'm going to go to my USB. I'm going to click on the picture and I'm going to click Insert. Okay. So now what you can see is there's the picture that I've inserted. So I've got here my Picture Tools options. So if I click on Picture Tools Format, you can see I have an option at the far left called Remove Background. I'm not going to use that here. Basically what that is used for, let's say you have a picture and it has a white background all the way around the picture. So when you put that in your slide, you're going to have that white background. Sometimes it'll automatically remove unwanted, well it says here, automatically remove unwanted portions of the picture. So you would try to get rid of that background if you wanted to get rid of it. Corrections you've seen before, so that's color or brightness and contrast. Color you can use to change the color of the picture, so I can make it a grayscale if I want, and so on and so forth. Artistic effects, apply these specific effects to your picture. Just give it a second here, it's thinking. Okay. Transparency just makes the picture kind of fade away a bit. Compressed is to compress the picture. You can change the picture and reset. Now these are the ones we're concerned with here, picture styles. So picture styles are pre-built effects. So when I click on these picture styles, you can see as you hover over each one, you get different effects. Okay. So this particular one that I'm on right now is beveled oval black. What that means is it has put a black border around it and it's cropped it into a shape of an oval, and it also has a reflection on there as well that you can see. All of the things that you see in the shapes you can do individually in these options. So picture border is to change the color and the size of the border around the outside of your picture. Picture effects, you have all these different effects that you can, so preset are some presets, so they're kind of like picture styles, preset effects. Shadow applies a shadow to your picture, so you can see here. Reflection is reflection of the picture. Glow puts the color behind the picture as if you had that color light shining from behind the picture. Soft edges blends out the edges of the picture. Bevel applies a bevel to the border of the picture. So a bevel is simply an effect on the line. It's kind of hard to see. If you just look at the corner of the pictures, you can see that they're a little bit of an effect. Then 3D rotation kind of rotates the picture around, and so on and so forth. So you can go individually and do these. We're just going to use a picture style, so we're going to pick this style here, which is called Perspective Shadow White. So you can see it's put a white frame around it and it's put a shadow on the picture. Whoops, no, we didn't want to do that. My mistake. Take that off. What we're going to do is we're going to crop that picture into a shape. So anyway, alt text, just as while we're here, alt text is so that if you should use this if there's a chance that someone with visual issues is going to be looking at the picture. What it will do is allows you to put in text that describes the picture. So if somebody can't actually see the picture, they can still see the text. That also works with tools that are built for the visually impaired, so it would read the text to it. Okay, so I want you to go over here to crop and click the arrow below crop. So crop by itself is used to crop the picture. So you would use, if you had a picture of two people, you could cut one person out or whatever the case may be. We're going to use this one called crop to shape. What that will do is it will create a shape and then it will put the picture inside that shape. So we're going to use this one called left arrow. Right, so what you can see is it's created the shape of the arrow and then it's automatically put the picture inside the shape. All right. So number 4.5, we're going to do presets. So we're going to go to picture effects. We're going to use one of the presets, so we're going to use this one, number 4. So what you can see is that it has added a shadow and it's added a little bit of a bevel and stuff as well. Now I want you to move that picture so that it lines up with this third bullet point over here. So when you click on the picture and you click and drag, you can see these little lines that show up. Those are called alignment guides. So right now this picture is aligned to the third bullet point, and it's also aligned to the right margin. So when I let go, we're good. Another way to move a picture is when a picture is selected, when you can see the sizing handles around the outside, you can use your arrow keys to move that picture as well. You won't see the alignment guides, so I'm going to go back so that I can see that, make sure that that's aligned as I want. Okay. And finally, I'm going to select the picture border. So I want a more defined border around the outside of the picture, so I'm going to pick black as my picture color. And I'm going to go back to picture border, and I'm going to click weight, and I'm going to pick a weight of, let's say, 3, so you can see now I have a more defined black border around the picture. Alright, so now what we want to do is we want to put in a shape in the picture, or in the box. One of the things about Excel, or about Microsoft Office, is you can't just click someplace and put in text. You can do that, well, even in Word. It's hard. It's difficult. You can only type into Word areas that you've actually been to. So if I want text in this on this screen someplace, I have to have some place to put that. And in Office, what they've got is a concept of containers. So everything you put into a presentation has to go into a container. Right, so all your bullet points there went into the placeholder. That was the container. This cropped image is a container in which you've got the picture involved, and so on and so forth. So what I want to do is I'm actually going to put a shape. So I'm going to click on Insert, and I'm going to go to Shapes, and I'm going to select the plus sign. So I'm going to click that plus sign. Now you can see my cursor changes to a plus. And this doesn't matter because it's anytime you click a shape, it's going to change to that icon. And I simply go someplace in the screen and I click, and it will create a shape sized 1 inch by 1 inch. If I didn't want to do it that way, I could go back to Insert, Shapes, find the shape that I want, and I can click and use my mouse to drag to create a shape of the size that I want. So you can do it either way. Again, I want to go back. I just want to have the standard shape, so I'm going to go back to Insert, pick on the shape, and click to create the shape. Alright, so this is a container. I could start typing. It would put text inside that container. I can change the background color of the container. I can change the color of the text that I put in the container, and so on. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to click on Format. So you can see here there's Shape Styles, and then there's something called Word Art Styles. So Word Art Styles over here, right? So all of these different things, those would apply to any text that I put inside the shape. Shape Styles over here apply to the shape itself. So you can see I have different shape styles here. I'm going to go to Intense Effect, Blue Accent 2, which is down here. So again, as you hover over top, it will show you what they are. So I'm going to click on that shape. And again, I could have done all of those individually by going to Shape Fill, picking my shapes, Shape Outline to pick a format around the outside, Shape Effects to add borders, and so on and so forth. I want to change the size of this. So right now, if you look at the far right, you've got the size. I'm going to change it to 1.1 by 1.1. Okay. And okay, so that's it for this at this point. We're going to come back to that shape later. Now I want to go back to reuse slides, so I'm going to click on slide number 4 because I want my new slide to go in as slide number 5. I'm going to click on reuse slides. It will bring back the last one that I had, so I don't have to go back and browse unless I wanted to find a different presentation. I'm going to click on the slide number 4 from that presentation, which will insert it into my presentation in the 5th location. So now what I want to do is I want to put some text in the top of this screen. To do that, I have to either have a shape, I have to have a container of some sort. So it could be a text box, it could be a shape, it could be a placeholder, and so on. So in this case, I'm going to use a shape. So I'm going to go to Insert, and I'm going to go to Shapes, and I'm going to select the rectangle here. and I'm going to click at the top, and I'm going to drag it across the screen, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to explain exactly what I've had happen here. Notice that I have these rulers at the top and the left of the screen. If you don't have the rulers, go to the View tab. This turns the rulers off, this turns the rulers back on again. Rulers are helpful a lot when you're working with in PowerPoint because it helps you to position things within the slide. So the left ruler is the vertical ruler. You can see it starts with 0 in the middle, and then it goes 1, 2, 3 and a bit above 0, and 1, 2, 3 and a bit below 0. And I'm not sure if you're seeing this because the Captivate, the tool that I'm using to capture this video, sometimes won't show you the cursor, so you may not see what's happening, but I'm describing it. If you take a look at the horizontal ruler across the top, you can see 0 in the middle, going to 6 and a bit to the left of 0, and 6 and a bit to the right of 0. That's because what the ruler does is, if you, and again, I'm not 100% sure you're going to see this in the video, so I'm just going to explain it. When you're moving your cursor around in the screen, when you look in the rulers themselves, you'll see a little red dashed line that shows you exactly where your cursor is positioned on the screen. So as I move my cursor around, or you can move your cursor around, and you can see that if I want it to be right in the center of the screen, I would move it so that the dashed lines are on the 0 on the horizontal ruler and 0 on the vertical ruler. And when I drew this box, I drew the box so that it went from the top left-hand corner to the top right-hand corner and down, so that it was aligned with 0.5 below 0 on the ruler. When you're working within my IT lab, now let's face it, when you're working on your own, you're really not going to care that it's 0.5 below 0 or 5. You're just going to draw the box until it looks right. But for my IT lab, because my IT lab is a computer that's going to be marking your assignments, you have to be fairly precise. Now if you're off by a fraction, it's not going to matter, but you have to be fairly close. And it will tell you in your instructions to say, drag the box so that the center is at 0.5 below 0 on the vertical ruler. So make sure that you do it as it tells you to do that. All right. So then I'm going to add a shape style to this shape. So I'm going to click on the shape, and I'm going to go to Format in the Drawing Tools. So there's my shape styles, and it wants Intense Effect Black Dark 1. So it's going to be this one here. Okay. All right, so now what I want to do, because I have a text box, which is a container, I can put text into that container. So I don't have to put a text box on, or sorry, I have my shape, and a shape is a container, so I can put text directly into it. What I want to make sure you're aware of is that when you have a shape, that is a container. So you can put text into that. You do not have to put a text box, which is another container, on top of a shape. Okay, so once I have that shape, all I have to do is make sure it's active by looking to see that I've got my sizing handle showing, and I can just start typing. So I'm going to type questions, enter, contact Eugene Garner, benefits specialist, enter 519 555-1212. Okay, so now that I have that text in there, I can start playing with the text as well within the box. So I can highlight the text, and I could change the font size, so I'll change that to 40. And notice when I'm in the Drawing Tools Format Draw tab, remember I had shape stuff on the left, so that affects the shape itself and so on, but I also have effects for the text that's inside the shape. So you've got, that's in the Word Art Styles box or group. So you've got text fill, so that would be the color of the text inside the color of the text itself. I have text outline, which allows you to change the color of the outline on the text. And I have text effects. So again, all the same things: shadow, reflection, glow, bevel, 3D rotation. You also have this new one called transform, which lets you, apply effects to the text itself. Okay. In our case, we're going to use the pre-built word art styles, and we're going to select this one down here called Fill Ice Blue Background Color to Inner Shadow. Right, so those are the effects that have been applied to that particular text. Okay. Now go to slide number 3. So what I want to do underneath the graphic of the arrow, I want to have the text that says participate today. So I could put a shape in there, like a rectangle, and type the text into the shape, but I'm going to just use a text box. So a text box is just a specialized shape that allows you to put in text without a container or without a shape around the outside of it, although you can actually affect the shape and apply formats to it. So I'm going to go into the insert command, and over here I have a thing called text box. All right, so I'm going to click on that. Now there's a couple of things about text boxes, but I'm going to start first of all in my instructions. It says insert a text box at 2 inches above 0 on the horizontal and 2.5 below 0, or 2 inches after 0 on the horizontal and 2.5 below 0 on the vertical. So that means that I'm going to move my cursor so that it's the little red line that's inside the ruler is at 2 on the horizontal ruler, and then I'm going to move it down so that it's at 2.5 below 0 on the vertical ruler. And I'm going to move my horizontal again just to make sure it's lined up. Once I've got it where I want it, I simply click to insert my text box, and then I can start typing whatever I want to type. Now one of the things to be careful with, and I'm going to add another text box, let's say over here right here. So I'm going to insert a text box again. Now you don't need to do this, I'm just showing you something here. When you insert a text box, you have two options. I can click to simply insert a text box, and then I can start typing. The problem with this particular text box is it has no borders. So as you type, it simply keeps going right off the screen. Now, that's still part of this slide, even though it's not visible on the slide presentation itself. So if I was to go and take this slide and print it, that information is still part of that slide, even though it wouldn't print when it printed the slide off. So I really don't want to do that, so I'm going to undo that. If I do want a text box, so I'm going to go back to Insert, I'm going to text box. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to draw the box. So now as I type, because I've drawn the box, word wrap is going to come into play, and as it hits the edge of the box, it will wrap down to the next line. Okay, so if you're just typing something like the words participate today, you can just click and start typing because you're not going to need to worry about word wrap. But if you're typing if you want to have word wrap, you'll have to draw the box and then type into the box itself. Now I'm going to get rid of that. One of the issues that happens is that if you're kind of not really sure what you want to do here, so I'm going to go back to insert text box, but now as I click, I'm going to slightly move the mouse. So even though you can't see it, I've created a really tiny text box. So now when I start typing, I'm going to get that effect, because the text box that I inadvertently created here is so small that the text won't fit in it, and word wrap comes into play and I get the text going down the screen like you can see. So again, I don't want that, so I'm going to turn it off. So if you ever are creating a text box and you start typing and it just falls down the screen, that's what's happened. You've actually, when you clicked, you moved the mouse a little bit and you created a really small box. So just be careful with that. Okay. All right, skill number 6. Go back to slide number 3 while we're there already. We're going to go to the shape, and we're going to do a shape fill. So again, I'm going to click on format. So there's my shape styles. Now I'm going to go here to shape fill, and I'm going to select dark teal text to lighter 80%. So this is dark teal text 2, and then saturation lighter 80% is one below it. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to click shape fill a second time, and now I want to modify that shape fill with a gradient. And a gradient is simply a blending of color. So it allows you to, in this case, you can pick one of the different gradients, and you can see the effect that it has on the shape. I'll just select the very last one here, linear diagonal bottom right to top left. What that means is that it's shading from the right to the left, from the top bottom. Go to skill number 4, or slide number 4, my mistake. Click title. Alright, and now again, a placeholder is a shape. It's a container. So I have all of my formatting options that I had available to me on those other shapes. So I can go to here, I can go to shape fill, and I can pick a shape fill there. So I'm just going to go straight to gradient, and I'm going to select the last one under light variation to apply a shape fill to that shape itself. Go to slide number 5. Okay, so this one here is going to be a little more interesting. What we're going to do is, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the leftmost picture. I'm going to click on format, and I want to change the size of that picture to set the height to 2.4. Whoops. And notice when I'm changing the height of the picture, it's also changing the width because it's keeping it proportional. There is a slight difference when you do a picture versus a shape. If you do a shape and you change the height or the width, it will only do it in the one dimension. But when you do a picture, it'll try to keep the picture proportional. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want all of these pictures, all 5 of them, to be aligned with the bottom of the slide, and then I want them to have a spacing between them that's exactly the same. So I'm going to do that in the following. So click on the first picture, then hold your shift key down, and as you hold your shift key down, click on all of the pictures so that you have sizing handles on all 5 pictures. So I could simply drag the pictures around until I get them the way I want them to look, but there are tools to make that a little easier. So on the format, picture tools format, click the align drop down box, and you can see at the very bottom here I have 2 options, align to slide or align selected objects. So the default when you first went in here was align selected objects. What that means is if I use one of the options above, align left, center, right, top, middle, or bottom, it will align all of the pictures to the leftmost picture. So it would align all of the pictures to the bottom of that picture, to the left of that picture, right. So if I was to click align left, it would put all of the pictures one on top of the other. So in our case, I'm going to click it to align to slide, so that now when I click those align options, I can say align to the bottom, and it will automatically align all 5 pictures to the bottom of the slide. Now I want to space the pictures so that there's the exact same amount of space between each one. To do that, I'm going to click on align, and I'm going to click on distribute horizontal. And you see what it does, it moves all of the pictures so that I have the same spacing between all of the pictures. Now that I've done all of that, and again, if I had done formats and picture effects and so on and so forth, once I'm done that, I don't want to accidentally move one of the pictures out of alignment. So I'm going to group those pictures to become one single graphic image. All right. So now when I move those pictures, so I'm going to use my arrow keys to move it, you can see that they all move as one. Now just for point of reference, if you have all of the pictures selected, and you use the nudge key or whatever, it will move all the pictures at the same time. The only concern you have is that if you grab a picture and accidentally drag it out of the grouping. So now what they're telling me here is they want the center button to be aligned with 2 below 0 on the vertical ruler. The only way I can really do that is kind of move them and then move my cursor over top of the middle button to make sure that it's aligned with number 2. This, just telling you this now because you'll have to do that in the grader assignment today. Okay, so that's number 6. We're moving on to skill number 7, which is Smart Art Graphics. So Smart Art Graphics, I think, is one of the coolest things that comes with Windows, with PowerPoint. So we're going to click on slide number 4. Okay, so on the left-hand side, I have bullet points, and bullet points are information you're presenting to your audience. So I could leave this slide exactly like this, and I could talk to those bullet points and everything would be fine. What a Smart Art graphic does is applies graphics to your bullet points. So it makes your bullet points more impactful because there's a graphic behind the picture, behind the bullet points, that adds more emphasis to what you're trying to say. So there's a couple of things you've got to be careful with here. You can do SmartArt graphics in two ways. I can take existing text, so I'm going to click here to select all of the information in this placeholder, and on the Home tab I can click, or sorry, on the, which tab is it on? Yeah, Home tab. I can click, over here in the paragraph group there's an option here called Convert to SmartArt Graphic. So I would use that if I've already got my bullet points in the presentation and I want to now add a SmartArt to those existing bullet points. There is also an option in the Insert tab called Insert SmartArt, but what that does is it inserts a blank SmartArt graphic in which you have to put your bullet points into. So in our case, we've already got the bullet points here, so we're going to use the one from the Home tab to convert those to a SmartArt graphic. If I clicked inadvertently on this one, I'll just add a SmartArt graphic so you can see. What it will do is it will put that SmartArt graphic right on top of your document, and it'll put the word text into the boxes. In other words, it's trying to tell you you need to put some wording inside these boxes. So I don't want to do that, so I'm going to do a Control Z to turn that off. And again, I'm going to select my text, and I'm going to go to the Home tab, and I'm going to click Convert to SmartArt Graphic. Okay, so when you convert to SmartArt Graphic, you will see a graphic. On a Mac, I'm not sure you'll see this graphic, but you still have the same options. The tools are available. In that graphic, I can see some default SmartArt graphics. I get more SmartArt graphics by going down here to more SmartArt graphics, and now you can see that my SmartArt graphics are broken down by list, process, cycle, and so on. So take a look at the different ones here. So list is when, and on the far right it'll show you, so used to show non-sequential or grouped blocks of information. Okay, if I click on here, used to show several groups of information, especially groups with large amounts of level 2 bullets and so on, and so on. Okay, so a list is when you have list of information. So you can see what the SmartArt graphic does. It simply adds perspective to your text, and we'll see that more in a minute. Process is when you have bullet points that say do step 1, then do step 2, then do step 3, and so on and so forth. Cycle is when you have bullet points that say you're going to have to do this, then something else, then something else, and something else. So you're going to do something, then you're going to tune, you're going to fine tune, you're going to fix it a little bit more, and then you're going to come back and start over again, and so on and so forth. Hierarchy is if you've got things like organization charts or what have you. Relationships, so how things feed together. So you can see, like as an example, there's a funnel option here that you would say you're going to do these things and they're going to funnel out into sales calls, are going to funnel out into sales, into real sales. Matrix, pyramids, so foundational issues. Pictures, which allowed you to add graphics to each of your bullet points, so like a small picture of some sort, and so on. Okay, so we're going to go back to list, and we want to apply the one called vertical box list, which I believe is this one here. Yes. Be careful when you're doing this in My IT Lab that you select the right one, because there is a vertical box list, there's a vertical block list. They're different. Okay, so we're going to select vertical box list, and I'm going to click OK. Alright, so see, you can see what it's done here is it's taken my level 1 bullets and put them in a frame with a blue background, and my level 2 bullets have become bullets underneath that box. Okay, so I want to add another bullet. There's a couple of ways that I can do that. I can actually click on the second one here because I want to add a shape to another level. So okay, so let me, before I go, so on the far left here in the Design tab under SmartArt Tools, by the way, when you're in SmartArt you get two new menus, Format and Design. So in the Design options here, you can see on the far left I've got Add Shape, Add Bullet, Text Pane, and so on. Add Shape would take whatever slide that I'm on and it would add a new level 1 bullet below that. Add Bullet would add a new level whatever bullet underneath the shape that you're in. So if I want to add a new level 1 after De-Stress for Less, I would have to be on that last bullet or that last shape and click Add a Shape, and it will add another shape here in which I can type in Massage Therapy. Now I want to add a bullet underneath that. I can click on Add Bullet, and I can type 15-minute mini massage sessions by appointment. Okay, so the important thing here as well is that because I'm in that Smart Art shape, as I added that text, that's the reason they want you to type in so much text, is you'll notice that when the text became too big, it actually shrunk the text on all of the bullets so that all of your bullet points and all of your headings have the same font size. So it gives you a very professional look to your document. You don't want to have bullet points that are at different sizes and so on and so forth. Okay. Now the other nice thing about and the other option you have is the text pane. So I can click here to bring up the text pane, or I can click this little arrow to the left of the Smart Art shape. What this does is it allows you to simply type the text in as regular bullets. So rather than having to go up and add a shape and add a bullet, I could have simply typed in, hit enter, shift tab to go back to a level 1, tab to add a level 2, and so on and so forth. So I can do all of those with the text pane. Alright, so now we're going to go into skill number 8, which is modify a Smart Art layout. So one of the nice things about this is that I can change my Smart Art graphic. So I can look at that and say, you know, that looks okay, but maybe it would look better looking like this or like that. Okay, so you can see that the Smart Art, your text doesn't change. The graphic just adds more punch to your text. Okay, so I can find, so I think the textbook uses this one, so I'll use this as well. So this vertical arrow list. So again, level 1 bullets now are in the box to the left, and your level 2 bullets are in the arrow to the right. All right, so it's just a way to add some punch to your document. Before Smart Art Graphics, we used to have to do this individually. So you'd create a box and you'd put text into it, and you'd create the arrow and so on. It was very time consuming. But with Smart Art Graphics, it's beautiful because you can do it and you can change them around as much as you want. Okay, you have the option here to change colors. So I could say I want them to look like that. You have Smart Art styles. So these are styles. So you can see as you cover over each one, it adds a different effect. So I'm going to click here on polished. Okay, but you can click the arrow. You can see you have other alternatives. So again, I'm going to stick to polished. Okay, and then you have reset graphic, which would take you, if you've messed it all up, you can reset it back to where it was. The format options are just to add formatting to so your shape styles here would be the box around the outside. The text would be the text inside. So if I was to click on the shape, I could add a outline and what have you. If I click on a particular option, I could change shape fill, shape and effects, and so on. Okay, so that was skill number 8. Skill number 9 is to insert a video file. So it's pretty straightforward. We're going to click on slide number 1. We're going to add a new title and content slide. So I can click title and content. I'm going to put in a title. They've got employee enrichment. Providing opportunities for all. And now I'm going to insert a video. So I'm going to click on insert video. I don't want to go offline, but so I'm going to click on browse, and I'm going to go out and find that file that we called enrichmentvideo.move, and I'm going to click to insert that video. What it will do is it will put the video inside that content box, that placeholder. Okay, so a couple of things about the video. There's a whole bunch of options here. They're going to change the height to 4. I'm going to center it, so I'm going to click Align Center, so it'll align the box to the center of the screen. And I have options here to change the color. So these are your contrast and light and brightness. I can change the color here, so I can make it all grayscale, or you can see the different effects. Okay. I could now all the video styles and the video shapes here are simply the shape itself. So video styles is just the box that the video is in. So if I was to pick one of these, it's just going to change the box, and I have all of the same options that we had before, so I'm not going to spend too much time on that. I do want you to click on this playback option, and playback, so you have some options here. You can trim the video, so if you've got a video that's too long, you want to trim part of it out. This does give you some very basic editing abilities to cut things from the start and the back. You can fade the video in and out. You have options on your volume. The important one here is this one that says start. So right now it says click sequence. In other words, you would have to click on the start button to start to show the video. I'm going to click on automatically, which means as soon as the slide shows up, the video will start to play. Your third option is just click on the video itself as opposed to the start button at the bottom. Okay. Then you have options: play full screen, which would take it to the full screen; hide while not playing; loop until stopped. So these are all pretty self-evident. And then you've got closed caption for media. So it's the same thing as we saw before with the alternate text on the picture. Okay. Now, the one last thing that's not in part of the text here, but I want to talk about, is if you want to have audio in your presentation. So let's say I want to have theme music of some sort running behind the slides and what have you. I have the same option, similar options that I just did with video. I'm going to click on Insert, and over here on the far right you have an option called Audio. When I click on Insert Audio, it will bring up, so I have to find the audio, so let me just click on Music. Who do I have in here? Celtic music, here we go, David Bowie, Dire Straits, let's say Don Henley. Alright, so The Boys of Summer, insert. So what it will do is it'll show me this graphic, but I have the option here to say hide the graphic. I can have it play in the background. Alright, so we've set the audio to clip to continually play across your slides in the background. Or alternatively, I could click on play across slides, so play video across slides. So just be aware that when you have audio, it will only apply to the slide you're on unless you select either play in background or play across slides, in which case it will allow it to continue playing as it moves to the next slide. So if I want audio on a particular slide, I wouldn't turn those on. If I want audio behind the background of all of my slides, I would turn those on. You have your option for volume. You've got the same trim commands here, so you can trim out parts of the song and so on. That's right. So there it's showing me the whole video, so I could say, you know, start here, finish here, and so on and so forth. So you would simply drag, there's where it's going to start, there's where it's going to finish. You can play it, make sure you've got it right, and click OK. So now that's just going to play the song from that place to that place. Loop until stopped, so if you want it to keep going, because otherwise when it hits the end of the song it'll stop, you could say keep going, like start over again. Hide during show and replay and rewind. Okay, so that's how video works. The graphic, by the way, doesn't have to actually be on the slide. You can actually drag it off the slide. It's still there. If I change this to start automatically, then as soon as I start the presentation, the sound will start. I don't actually have to see the graphic itself. All right, so that's it for today. Thanks very much. Talk to you later.